Welcome back, Truth Seeker. Sadly, we have a tragic headline to close out the last day of Black History Month. And in a predominantly black city, St. Louis, where Black Lives Matter kicked off, we get the story of a young black man executing an older black homeless man. And if you're new here, I'm going to show you who is really responsible for whatever is taking place here. And again, there's something about the media in putting black people in yellow. You can see when in the shooting photo, yellow. I can't figure out what it is about this, but someday we're going to figure that out. They've been doing this for years. Remember when the woman beat her son at the Freddie Gray protest and she was wearing bright yellow? And they made a big deal about that for a week. Anyhow, notice the picture of his mugshot, the shooter. He's in red and black. And just like how Tiger Woods always wore red and black on Sundays, the most Catholic, the most Jesuit day of the week. This shooting was on a Monday, but understand, red and black are the colors of the Jesuits. And going to talk about how no doubt this is another sick Jesuit ritual. For people who don't understand, again, we're on a Catholic calendar named after a Catholic pope. We're speaking an English language that was created by a Catholic monk, Burfirth. Again, if you're new here, GematriaEffectNews. We explain how these rituals, this programming is put out in the media ritualistically to program the minds of the masses, and it's done by a code, and you can see right through that code if you know the same language the Jesuits used to conduct the rituals, and that language is called Gematria, which comes from Kabbalah, which is Jewish mysticism, which was brought into the Catholic Church at the end of the Crusades. And anyhow, if you're new here, here's the pattern that I've talked about a gazillion times. I'm on the I've lost track of how many times I'm rewriting my short book on 201, but now I got to consider even putting this story in there. 201 is the number of the Jesuit order. And notice how in Gematria, the shooter's name, Deshawn Thomas, equals 201. The shooter is said to be Deshawn Thomas. Let me scroll down here so you can read the article. A St. Louis man was arrested Tuesday after a video appeared to catch him nonchalantly shooting a homeless man, execution style in broad daylight. Deshawn Thomas, 23, here we are in 2023, was arrested in connection with the Monday murder, that was yesterday, but is yet to be charged, police said. Okay, so Deshawn Thomas, his name equals 201 in Gematria. Notice the name Michael Brown equals 201. As we'll get to, this shooting is perfectly synced with the Pope, who's the first Jesuit Pope, who's the first to live in Suite 201 at the Vatican, which is this number that's so important all throughout Jesuit history. And if you don't know who the Jesuits are, you need to look into them. They have been warned about for centuries that they are evil, that they are sinister, that they have political motives, that they're about controlling and manipulating society. And again, stories like this, they serve all kinds of purposes, all kinds of purposes, including keeping racism alive. And so everyone going, oh, there's some more black-on-black crime. Oh, what another black psychopath. Probably grew up listening to Snoop Dogg records. Anyway, there's a reason they do this. And also just to torment people, right? It's Black History Month. This is how we're going to close out Black History Month. Last news story of Black History Month. Young black man executes older black man. And, and just the tragedy of how many homeless we have in this nation alone. That's a whole nother story. But here we are in Black History Month where the father is Carter G. Woodson, right? That's what they call him, Carter G. Woodson. And take a look at the Gematria. You'll notice in the exact same cipher as Deshawn Thomas and Michael Brown, it's 201, like Carter G. Woodson, like the Jesuit order. And if you're new here, these ciphers are really simple. It's the alphabetic order forwards. It's the alphabetic order in reverse. It's also both orders with numerology. And notice Carter G. Woodson and the Jesuit order are the exact same in 3 out of the 4. If you're new here, so many rituals where these numbers come together. Captain Tom in the UK was knighted on 17/7 and then died 201 days later. And he was known for the Burma campaign, and he died one day after Burma's government fell. Catherine the Great, who preserved the Jesuit order by saving 201 Jesuit priests. She was only the leader of Russia at the time because her husband had been assassinated on 17/7. So on and so forth. And keep in mind, Catholic Church also equals 69. But here we are, the latest 201 ritual, and Pope Francis, the first pope to live in Suite 201 at the Vatican. Notice his birth name, Jorge Mario Bergoglio, equals 201, going with the suite number he lives in. The founder of the Jesuits, Ignatius Loyola, 201. Catholic Pope, 201. The Jesuit Order, 201. Event 201, the coronavirus pandemic simulation 1 month before the outbreak, put on by the Jesuit Klaus Schwab. Soon after the pandemic began, long before the jab was even here, they started telling black Americans that when the vaccine comes out, they need to be the first to get it. They will need it the most because they're most susceptible. And, it goes with the Tuskegee syphilis experiment. 201 black men in the control group. Look it up if you don't know these things. 201. And, Caitlyn Jenner, 201. Kind of set off the whole transgender thing, right? Caitlyn Jenner. You just had Jesuit-educated Dwayne Wade, parading around his child and calling him Father of the Year, supporting the, his young transgender youth. And then that was CNN's top story just yesterday on the day of this supposed assassination. But the very next day, on the last day of Black History Month, CNN follows up how great it was that Dwayne Wade did that, with the next story being that black transgender teens are the most susceptible population to suicide outside of military vets who've been getting shipped over to the Middle East ever since 2 towers became 0 before they became 1 in the Jesuit takedown. For people who still haven't figured it out. You know what I'm talking about, right? The Twin Towers, they collapsed. There were 0 towers. Then they built 1 tower, 201. Jesuit Georgetown's motto is both into one. One world order. Getting rid of competing ideas. Only one idea is tolerated. How dare you question the pandemic? You're canceled. How dare you question the jab? You're canceled. How dare you question Russia, Ukraine? Canceled. How dare you question, is it right to push the idea of transgender? You are canceled. Only one. And by the way, Google's doing this, right? Google's like controlling the whole internet. Who's their CEO? Sundar Pichai. What's his name equal? 201. You know what I mean? Leader of the United Nations, leading that one world order. What's their leader's name equal? 201. What day does Google celebrate their birthday? The same day the Jesuits were recognized by the Roman Catholic Church in history. September 27th, the day leaving 95 days left in the year, because the Jesuits' original purpose was to counter the 95 Theses written by Martin Luther, not to be confused with Martin Luther King Jr., who assumed the name Martin Luther after the same person, only to be assassinated 201 days before the nation's first major gun control legislation. But Martin Luther King Jr. was also assassinated on the 95th day of the year, like Martin Luther wrote the 95 Theses. Guess what day of the week equals 95? Tuesday, the day this news story comes on. But for another point, from the Pope's birthday to the assassination of this man in St. Louis was 72 days later. It was 72 days after the Pope's birthday, on a 72 date numerology, on the day that the Dow Jones rose 72 points. But Jesuit Order 72, right? Jesuit Order 72, Pope Francis, the first Jesuit Pope, on the 72nd day of the year, March 13th. Again, Joe Biden lost his wife and daughter in 72 after becoming senator-elect on Limestone Road, which equals 201. When he turned 72, he lost his son, Beau Biden, 201 days before the Pope's birthday at age 46, before he became number 46 in the election 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday, where Catholic equals 46. And just for how synced this is with the Pope, in Gematria, Pope Francis equals 58 and 59, shooting on the 58th day of the year, the arrest on the 59th day of the year. The man was killed in front of the Globe building. That's going to drive the flat earthers wild. Globe building. Gematria is 70 and 119, like Vatican and Francis. And the Superior General's birthday is 35 days before the Pope's. Catholic equals 35 and 46, like JFK number 35, killed at age 46. Again, Biden number 46, elected 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday, inaugurated on the Pope's 35th day of his age. But that means this shooting was 107 days after the Superior General's birthday, who's the Black Pope or the leader of the Jesuits. If you've ever heard that term, Black Pope, that's who the Black Pope is. Right now it's Arturo Sosa, born November 12th. But this came 107 days after his birthday. Ritual sacrifice is 107, like shooting. And St. Louis University is the big Jesuit school there. Again, there's only 27 Jesuit universities in the nation. This shooting on the 27th. From the school's anniversary establishment date, November 16th, to the shooting was 103 days later, like Jesuits is 103. And this sort of reminds me of the Tops Buffalo shooting on Israel's birthday, and State of Israel equals 201 and is a big Jesuit Catholic creation. And again, it kind of goes against, again, when you think of, we use the term Jewish for the people in the Old Testament, which are really Hebrews or Israelites. And again, the oldest person in the Old Testament's black. So think about a white supremacist shooting on Israel's birthday in a black neighborhood. But as we talked about then, it was perfectly synced with the local Jesuit university, Canisius University, and who the school was named after. Same type of thing. And it was perfectly synced with the Buffalo Bills season, and it was the 103rd NFL season. So, yeah, it's sick. It's sick. And what bothers me is that we got these people so figured out. We can perfectly prove what they are instigating in the world. Questions I have, is, again, a lot of stuff in the news isn't even real, right? They just create the propaganda to do the psychological damage. Whether this really actually happened or not, it creates the same pretty much psychological damage and impact in society. A lot of stuff in the news is completely contrived just for the psychological damage. But if there was a real assassination, it's just like, that somebody put this guy up to it. And how? That's what I would like to know. Is it blackmail? Is it payment? Is it sorcery? Is it spell casting? But it's not hard to see what the real source of this is. And just, why is he even in red and, or maybe in the St. Louis jail? That's how they dress him up there. Remember in Memphis, they always like to bring up the jail, the 201. When young Dolph got killed in Memphis, it was a big 201 ritual. Put out his Instagram post foreshadowing his death on the 201st day of the year with the Illuminati pyramid around his eye. And for the record, Great Pyramid of Giza equals 201. And there's 201 remaining layers of stone on the pyramid. And Order of Illuminati equals 201, and their symbol's the pyramid. And it was founded by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt, who again died 201 days after the order's anniversary of its establishment. But yeah, they had to close out Black History Month with another sick, demented 201 ritual. And if you're wondering, yes, George Floyd was like the biggest 201 ritual there ever was. George Perry Floyd, 201, killed exactly 201 weeks after Adama Traore, who was killed on the 201st day of the year and born on the 201st day of the year. And if you don't know the name Adama Traore, look it up. He was killed in similar fashion in Paris, France, which is the home of the Jesuits. And their names were protested together in the wake of the George Floyd killing. But yeah, all this stuff, you can go through all of it. You can just see how it's perfectly synced with the Catholic Church, the Jesuits. You can see the whole history of 201 in this nation. The whole overturning of Roe v. Wade was a big 201 ritual. Ketanji Brown Jackson, a big 201 ritual. Again, the nation's federal headquarters. The Jesuits have been there in Georgetown longer than anybody. Longer than the Masons, longer than the Feds, not to mention modern Freemasonry is a Jesuit creation, but yeah. That's the last headline we get for Black History Month. on the bright side, if there is a bright side, I feel like this Black History Month, actually, I covered probably less horrible black killing rituals than any other Black History Month in any year I can remember, honestly, unless I was missing the headlines somehow. I don't think I was missing them, though. So, even though this is a sick way to end it, there's been a lot worse months in the past. So, and just another headline that's big this night: terrible train accident in Greece. We're hearing a lot about trains. There's always themes in the news. But notice at least 26 dead, right? Talking about the same number all the time with trains. Train 26. They got to report at least 26 dead. That's why when the media reports these numbers, I mean, if you don't even have the exact count, right? Aren't we just used to counting in fives? Wouldn't it be like at least 25 dead, approximately 30 dead, near 30 dead, at least 26 dead? Again, every day, you guys, it's news by the numbers. And here, I want to show you something about the base ciphers, because I want you to see that train also equals 73, and so does train derailment. Today's 73 days after the Pope's birthday. Train is 73 in reverse. Train derailment, 73. We were just talking about train in 26 with East Palestine, Ohio, because they released the chemicals on February 6th, 2/6, which is the 37th day of the year. Today's date numerology is actually 73 and 37. 73 days after the Pope's birthday. Another big train story. And for the record, the word chemicals, because they released the chemicals on the 37th day of the year from the train in East Palestine. And check this out too, you guys. East Palestine, Ohio's 266. That train derailment was on the 266th day of Israel's age, and Israel came out of Palestine. And again, State of Israel, 201. And not to mention, the news media even told you, that town where that happened, they just helped participate in filming a movie about a train wreck with a huge chemical explosion that contaminates the town, and now it's actually happening to the town. But again, all day, every day, you learn gematria, and you just see it's news by the numbers, nonstop. Oh, shout out to D26. He found another 201. One of the biggest acts of terrorism after 9/11 was the 7/7 bombings in London, and that took place in Tavistock Square. Remind you of the Tavistock Institute. Tavistock Institute, if you don't know what it is, look it up. Established in 47. It's a big mind control thing, just like the CIA, but the CIA was established in 47 on the Pope's 201st day of his age. And again, in case you're new here, Central Intelligence Agency. United States of America, the words in its logo, 201. And, hold on, CIA motto, I always forget it. The work of a nation, the center of intelligence. Guess what it equals? 201. So, and again, that mind control, that's what our media is here for every day. And I can't believe that people can't see that the media is mind control. I mean, it impacts your mind. It puts you in a negative, low vibration state every single night. It's always negativity. It's always fear. It's nothing else. And it's constantly misinformation, too. And a lot of times it's totally fake. So I hope this is totally fake and this didn't happen to anybody, but these people are psychopaths and they do kill people as well. They've been warned about for centuries, the Jesuits. An order of murderers hiding behind the name Jesus. And they gave us that name Jesus too. So that's a whole nother subject. All right, Truth Seeker, but yeah, thank you to everyone who hits the like and share. And for all the people who come across this video and think it's bullshit, well, you probably didn't even make it this far into the video, but in case you did, realize the Jesuits have dumbed down this nation, and to think this stuff's bullshit day after day, you got to be a special kind of stupid. So work on that. More sleep, better diet, more exercise. I don't know. Work on some brain puzzles, some critical thinking skills, because this is no accident. This is the hallmark of who runs this nation. So anyhow, we'll leave it there. And also, shout out to Carrick Moses. He right as I was going live, he sent a Cash App for $10. I appreciate that. And thank you to everyone who will support the Patreon next month too. Next month, if the weather's good enough, plan to get out to Moscow, Idaho. Speaking of 201, the whole Moscow, Idaho 201 ritual. The killer lived in apartment 201G. And then they traced him back to Scranton, Pennsylvania, where Joe Biden's from, where The Office was set, the hit TV show on NBC that ran 201 episodes that shows the Jesuit prep school flag in every episode. And, I do want to get out there once it warms up in better weather, try to engage with the students, share the knowledge. And I do want to get down to LA sooner than later. So once the mountain pass is all clear, Southern California, here we come. All right, and yeah, Charmed One's got the links for where you can read all kinds of blog posts. So thank you, everybody. Have a good rest of your evening. And Truth Vibration Podcast. Well, if it's 201 days before Mahomes' birthday, that means it's also 201 days before the 57th governor of Missouri's birthday too, right? Because they both have the same birthday as Mahomes wins Super Bowl 57. Mahomes' birthday is September 17th, so let's check that out. February 27th, 2023 to September 17th, 2023. Well, the shooting was 202 days before. That means the arrest. Today we're really hearing about the news story, right? So, from the arrest to the upcoming birthday, 201 days. Yeah. And for all you in Missouri who didn't realize you're in the time of the 57th governor who has the same birthday as Mahomes, yeah, check it out. Len Dawson dead on Kobe Bryant Day. Kobe from Philly. Don't forget how they buried Kobe in Corona Del Mar. Right before the coronavirus pandemic. His last birthday was exactly 201 days before they declared the pandemic, which was the same day they locked down the NBA. In base 8 counting, the number 201 is 311, like how they locked down the nation on 311 after the event 201 simulation. And if you remember the China Lake earthquake, that was 201 days before the first case of coronavirus was confirmed in the U.S. the first day that coronavirus was confirmed in the U.S. from China. The China Lake earthquake, 201 days later. Remember that earthquake was on 7/4. Energy, weapon, nuclear, they're all 74. It was on a military base. Go on for days. Go on for days. The greatest military operation of all time, the 201st day of the year, put Neil Alden Armstrong on the moon, whose name equals 201. Think about it. The moon is illuminated. Order of Illuminati, 201. The model that says the sun's the center of it all, heliocentrism, 201. Created in the same century as the Jesuits, who are a sun cult, who worship the sun, whose logo's the sun. Anyway, nice catch, Truth Vibration Podcast. Today's news, 201 days before Mahomes. And they did just win the 103rd NFL season, didn't they? By the way, just with regards to the NFL season, if you guys don't know this, I'm sure people in St. Louis know, or if not, you learn something new every day. The first ever forward pass in NFL history came from St. Louis University, and it was thrown in the town of Waukesha, Wisconsin. And remember when they had the Waukesha, Wisconsin parade tragedy a little more than a year ago? Remember the news story broke from the mayor's office, who was at Suite 201, who's Jesuit educated. And then the name of the guy who drove over all the people, all his name was 201, and he had just been released from prison early for some reason by the attorney general, who was Jesuit educated at Marquette, the Jesuit school where Dwayne Wade went. And if you guys have ever seen Tommy Boy, it starts out at Marquette, the movie with Chris Farley. And pay attention at the beginning. When Chris Farley's taking his test, it says right on the top of the paper, exam number 201. And then if you've ever seen the movie, he doesn't know the answer to John Hancock. He thinks it's Herbie Hancock. And how did Chris Farley die? Supposedly overdosed in the John Hancock Tower, which is shown at the very end of the movie. And if you've ever seen Tommy Boy, how does it end? You know, he rushes into a skyscraper dressed up like a terrorist to get the news to cover him. He threatens to blow up the building. Movie came out just before 9/11, where 2 towers became 0 before they became 1. Okay. All right, Truth Seeker. Till next time.